And every girl needs a mother. Damn it, I needed you. Instead you dug for cover, and you ran from the truth. And like kids do, you waited around for proof. Maybe I didn't deserve you. Maybe I just couldn't cure you. They told me that I didn't hurt you. Why do I feel like I turned you? And maybe I didn't deserve you.
Well, hello. Welcome back. It's me, Tiff, again. And thank you for tuning in again to my segment about survivors of narcissistic parents. Being beyond the Dr. Phil show. I know it's been a while. I've been adjusting to things, and of course, doing my own work as well, but it feels good to be back. I want to thank all of those who have subscribed and continue to follow my channel. I have new things to post here, so be on the lookout for those. Like I said, as well, outside of YouTube, I'll also put there as well in the comments section or here on the screen, or else I can be contacted, like I said, as well as my heart, my ear, and my inbox is always open. If you have questions and comments, concerns about anything, feel free to hit me up. I do love to do and would love to do a question and answer segment. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to leave them in the comments section, or you can inbox me, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, anything like that, my ears and my heart are always open to you guys. Anyway, so picking up, I figured that would be best. Picking up where we left off, we're wrapping up towards the end of the show. So this is going to be, today's segment is going to be more so about a little bit about what happened at the end of the show and after the show. And then we're also going to touch on what has been going on as well in this journey of healing and promoting self-awareness about narcissistic parents and narcissistic abuse, and the adult children, whether little or adults, what we endure, and just to let you know that you're not alone as well. So we'll tap into that part as well during this segment. So jumping right in, we're at the end of the show. Excuse me, I have my laptop on, keep track of my notes. But we're at the end of the show. I'll try to find that part of the segment where we're leaving the stage. Of course, they going on, the producers are excusing themselves, Dr. Phil, his wife, and my parents, and then there's me and my brother, and we're leaving to make our way to backstage. And there's like I compare it to like hearing a train coming and you're right on the track, except it's like the world's fastest, maddest train, aka my mother. So the producers, of course, never seen this before. I'm sure they've seen a lot of crazy things, but I feel like when you're dealing with your situation, you kind of feel like you're the only one going through that. But she's right behind us, and the producer's like, trying to hurry up and get us to our rooms and things. Are so, because to hear her, she's ranting and raving, and she is on a rampage on her way back to the dressing area, and I could hear her from my dressing room once I reached that. And she's knocking over things. She's mad. She's screaming. You made a fool out of me. Talking to the producers, and you got my children humiliated me. You know, of course, as far as the narcissist, we all know that they are always the victims here. You know, they're never wrong. It's always everybody else's fault but their own, you know. And clearly, if you guys watch the show, we all know how that goes, right? So there's a little segment at the end of the show. If you guys haven't tuned into that part, if you watch a little bit after the credits start rolling, where Dr. Phil gives a spiel about him walking off the stage, and there's a segment with my mother, and she still got her mic on, right? And everybody knows if you got your mic on, you're still subjected to be recorded. It's in the piece of paper in the writing when you sign that, right? You acknowledge that you are aware of that. But she's so self-absorbed, you know, that she doesn't care, right? She's the victim. So if you guys tune into that segment, like I said, I'll try to find that for you and play that on here if I can, either at the end of the segment or during this as well. And she's ranting and raving that out of all of that, you know, after being on the show and after enduring all of that and making a complete fool of herself, she still thinks that she is the victim. So, and of course you have the enabling father, where he's standing over top of her and he's saying that, oh, I stay in the house, I don't have any friends, you know, like, oh, woe with me, you know, I'm not the reason for my problems, it's everybody else but me. I stay in the house like a caged bird, and you know, my enabling father's like, no, Wanda, you got friends, I don't have any friends. And it's like, oh no, you know, everything's dramatic, you know. This is at the end of the show, and out of all of that, what I just shook my head on after seeing it was that they're all jealous of me. And when they speak of jealousy, even to include children, us, and that they've been doing this for years, and it's like, wow, that's all you got out of that. Out of all of this, you flew all the way to here to Hollywood to do that, you know, and you're still, once again, you're still the victim, not your children, not anybody else, and not your husband. You're still the victim. And that's kind of like another way that you get to see the narcissist is always tries to find a way to flip it, and they're the victim. But let me tell you something, that segment alone is barely touching what took place after the show. So we all go our separate ways, you know. Of course, I take my flight back to where I stay, back to my home, and my brother and, you know, my parents make their way back as well. Well, you know, think that, you know, hey, I feel good, you know, I feel good. I may have not gotten the outcome that I was looking for, but like I said, I didn't come there for them. I came there to save myself. So it might not have been, you know, one of the biggest things I still held on to was still having some sense of hope that my father would see, you know, would open up his eyes and see, you know, that, hey, you know, you need to wake up, you know, this is what's going on. He's aware of it, you know, but I'm thinking like outside help would contribute to opening his head up and his mind, his eyes, and just be like, you're losing your children behind this woman who doesn't care about anybody but herself, you know, and hopefully that he would see the error of his ways and come to, which didn't happen. And it was heartbreaking, and I grew to accept that for what it was, and that the father that I painted in my head wasn't the man that I actually had, right? Just given the circumstances in our family dynamic as a child, he was always there. He had no other choice because my mother wasn't present, right? So that gave me this illusion in my head that my father was superhero, you know, and now he had his own issues, and it's gotten progressively worse over the years. And now it's to a point where I got to see how it affects me, how it affected me, how it still affected me, and the lengths that he's willing to go to protect her, even if it means sacrificing his own daughter. So that was the part that walking away from that got me. But I still felt good about it because I faced a bully. Unfortunately, it was my parents, but I faced a bully on that day, and I felt pretty proud of myself as well. So I don't think people understand. You know, they ask me questions about Dr. Phil and all that. No, I didn't get everything that I saw out of that, but what my main goal was to save myself. So what people don't understand, if you haven't lived it, and I feel, like I said, how fortunate of you, and I'm so happy that you did. But for those of us who are watching this and understand what I mean, that I really got to a point where you find yourself recording conversations because the gaslighting is so real. It makes you question everything about your sanity. If it's real, if maybe you're overreacting, or to prove that you're not crazy, to say, hey, you did say this, I have it right here. The show was another way of me exposing that, to say, I'm not just some troubled child who's just decided to wake up one day and destroy her parents. This thing is real. And so that show for me was my way of being able to unveil the curtain of all the dirty secrets in my household that everyone looked at and shook their head at, for poor victim, the mother, to say, oh, your children are troubled and things of that sort. When it's just like, no, this is what's going on in this house. And so for me, that was a relief that my truth was out there, my truth, and that and all the things that I questioned myself about, and to include my sanity, was just like, it was such a big sigh of relief. So that's what I want people to understand. Like, I came there and I accomplished. I might not have got the outcome that I wanted, but the mission that I set out to accomplish was accomplished. Okay, but once again, when you're dealing with narcissistic beings, and we're talking about the dynamics of narcissistic parents, the goal is to control, right? And so when you lose, you have all your little minions, right? And there's this one little minion that strives to be free, and she has a mind of, that minion has a mind of their own. Talking to myself, has a mind of their own. It's like, hey, I'm not okay with this, They have a sense of their self, and they're like, I want to heal from this. I want to get away. And so by going on that show was another part of me setting myself aside from the rest of the crew, which they call the flying monkeys. Flying monkeys in therapy is not an insult towards or a jab towards any of my siblings. It's exactly what they call it in therapy world. And they call them flying monkeys. We'll get into those terms and things of that sort later on in my other segments and break that down to you, the family dynamics when you're dealing with narcissistic for this case, narcissistic parents. So like I said, once again, going back to what I was saying, it's about gaining that control. And when they lose that control, they will, by any means necessary, do what needs to be done to ensure that they grab it in any way that they can. And just when I thought that she couldn't get any worse or any more evil than what she already was in my heart and in my mind, I was sadly mistaken. So, and I would see it after the show. So we all know that the show was airing in September of 2019, right? And so she was trying to do damage control. And her way of doing damage control, she did damage in trying to gain control, actually. So as soon as she, left the show, and as it got a little closer, she actually wrote something on her page to try to save face, because now all of her dirty secrets and her evil ways of how she treats her daughter and children, her husband, things of that sort, are all out for not just the world to see, but people who know her can see and be like, wow, I never thought she would be this way. And I thought this was just a thing that children were just going, no, this is really going on. So she's attempting to, get it all together and save face at this point. So that's another part of trying to gain control, getting ahead of the show before the show aired. She knew she had made a fool of herself. She knows she stayed true to form on who she is, narcissistic. So I'm going to post it up here. As I continue the conversation, you'll see it up here on the screen here as well. I'll be sure to put that up there for you, and I'll read it for you. But she posted, after that, not going home and grasping what was done, what was said, and no self-reflection. Once again, like I said, narcissistic beings and narcissistic parents do not have the ability to empathize, to show empathy. So their lack of empathy is strong within them. So even after all of that, she hasn't taken a moment to self-reflect and realize, like, I need to get myself together, but no, that doesn't exist. She goes for the more to be the victim in several ways. So she writes her page, and like I said, her post reads, I'm reading from my laptop. So if I'm not ignoring you guys, not connecting with you guys, but I'm reading, and it should be posted up on the screen as well. But it says, family and friends, I went on the Dr. Phil show to mend old wounds with my twins, my brother and I. They humiliated me, made me look like a monster, as they called me. They took it there. So many lies were told by my twins. All you guys on here know who I am. You know my character. Once again, it's their way of trying to gain control. The things they said about me on that show was so humiliating and very hurtful. I should have walked off, but I didn't. Remember, she got to the point where she was about to be kicked off the stage. But I didn't. I thought we came to mend and I get my family back. Instead, I was told that I needed help. Who would have thought, right? The whole show was to humiliate me and to try to make me look bad. So just want you all to know, when it airs, once again, trying to get ahead of the show, when it airs, I'll let y'all know. Tell me if it was fair. I haven't been on here in a while because my heart is heavy. She even got her aunt to write something about me and her so-called friend. You guys saw on the show, Miss Kendra, about me and her so-called friend that she cried and talked to me about and don't even know me, got on there and said I contacted her. I don't have her phone number. She was a friend on Facebook, which I now deleted her. Watch out, you guys. Your kids are not like what we are, aka we're setting boundaries and we talk about things. So I'll let you guys be the judge when it airs and let me know what the hell was going on. They never put up any of my proof, but there was none. They're very fair in that. Don't believe the bank statements when she stole my money. Don't believe the bank statements. They were doctored. And I gave my copy of the bank statement and they said I stole $3,900 from my daughter. She was out for blood. They did not use one shred of proof I had. They did not use one shred of proof I had to react to eradicate where she was trying to say something, what I was going on, and what child would get on national TV and say all kinds of bad things about her mother. Once again, the victim. My heart is heavy. Some of the things she said was a surprise to me. She never spoke to me about you guys. Why would I be jealous of my own children? I brought them into this world. So as you see there, and you will read, as I've read to you, for those who can't see it, once again, like I said, it'll be on the screen for you to see as well. She is attempting to regain control, and she is attempting to do damage control with the people who thought they knew who she was, by reminding them that you know who I am when they really in reality don't know who she is. They might know that the representation that she brings of her best self in front of them, because narcissists are charmers. We have to forget that they don't just come out with the mask on, right? They're charming. They usually come off as very kind, very caring, and that is just a way that's another way that they recruit beings around to support them, because those supporters remember that image or that representation that they gave of their best self at the moment. So when they hear things or see things that are said otherwise by people like myself, the daughter, they're like, no way, that can't be true. So she's attempting to tap back into that to say, hey, remember guys, I know, in other ways, I know you're going to see the show that's about to air, but I just want to get on here and let you guys know, remember the woman that you saw. Remember the woman that I presented to you, not the woman behind closed doors that nobody knows about, that abuses her daughter and talks about her daughter, mistreats her, things of that sort. Remember what I've shown to you. Narcissists are very charming. They're really good at putting on a role. So they can really convince certain beings that aren't mentally strong enough to be able to be like, why would your child get on national TV and do such a thing? You know, which I got backlash from people who supported her because of the representation of who she presented to others. It was so believable that I got backlash. I got messages, what kind of daughter are you, you know, to go on national TV, to bash your own mom. Those things aren't true. You know, as you saw in there bit by bit, as I was reading, when she discussed the bank statements, that they were doctored. And she also mentioned that that Dr. Phil and the producers did not present any of her proof. That's because there were none. There was none. The proof that I had was overwhelming. And let me tell you something. They're straight facts. I had to present all of this stuff prior to the shooting of the show, and had timestamps from the pictures that I showed to show the correlation that, hey, I wasn't even in the States when these transactions were made. So he has everything in his hands, like he told you guys on the show. So these doctor statements that she makes up is her way of trying to show, like, I didn't steal, like, it's all an illusion, guys. It was doctored. I didn't steal from my kid. But do you remember on the show, she said that every transaction that I made, I called my daughter who was in Dubai, and we weren't, people who were served in the service know that you're not just in one spot for the long period of time that we are deployed. And I never received a phone call, obviously, about those transactions. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on the show, right? So it kind of contradicts what she says in her Facebook statement, as you see as well, that she says, she goes back on that and she's like, it was doctored. So did you ask me about it in Dubai when you called me while I was deployed, or were they doctored? So once again, they lie so much that they can't keep up with their own lies. So if you're mentally strong, if you're a smart cookie, you can read through that, you know, to see that is lying. It doesn't take a rocket science. It's just a person with the right heart, right state of mind, just realize, you know, what they see is not right, of course. So out of all of that and reading that, I mean, I just didn't know what to say to that. But like I said, that's the normal. She's always the victim. Things were doctored. I got my aunt to write. The producers reached out to people once again to gain proof, because they're going to listen to both sides of the story. And my family members, the good ones, have always been supportive, and they've known this to be her before I was even thought of. It's just that I came along and I was a threat to her, because I am a reminder to her of all the things that she probably wanted to be, or maybe have been better than what she was, and she envied that part. I just happened to be her offspring, right? So she said that, asked if it was fair, but a person that knows that what they did was, if it were right or justified, or if it were fair, right? Or if she felt like she didn't do these things, why would you go out of your way right before the air, of the show, to go and write a whole statement about that? People really genuinely know who you are. Just like I know that who I am speaks for myself, right? Speaks for itself. Like who I am, I didn't need to back that up of what I did on the show. People know me and they know me, so I didn't need to do that. But once again, narcissists have to find a way to gain control, and they tell on themselves in the midst of trying to do damage control. So they furthermore not only are causing damage while trying to gain control again. It's crazy. But that wasn't like the half of that. That Facebook statement alone started with her. But I'm going and flicking through some other things that I saw or was sent as well. And so we're getting to the airing of the show. So after, everyone's tuned in, I'm sure all of my family members tune in and things of that sort. And the backlash I got were even from family members that I had no issue with, who had an issue with me having an issue with my mom. was, hey, I'm being abused. And that's that was obviously the worst sin that you could ever commit, is to speak up against your abuser. So, people were sending me messages like I got from a family member of mine that was like, Dr. Phil was some BS. They actually put the word bull, BS today. Wouldn't even let her aunt talk. So my mother, Tiffany, lies so damn bad. It's just sad. I really think she's in love with her own damn father. I said what I said. Her ass needs help and needs to get her health problems together. Out here giving people STDs and SHIT. Let's just keep it all the way 100, but try and make Aunt Juan, her aunt, look bad, shake my damn head, trip me out. I was mind blown by that. Well, I knew it was coming, but to go to the extent for somebody who's never done anything to you, it also shows you this far. And these are on her side of the family. Not everyone's like that. It's more like the immediate ones over there that are just like my mother, but more distant family. They keep away for a reason. You know, they're loving and supporting. But to see certain people like that grew up with, you know, defending that, you know, and they've seen it and then they heard it themselves, and because they've indulged in it as well. So it's heartbreaking to see that as well, the backlash. And, you know, the part about me being in love with my father. Now, also furthermore, let you know that my mother actually started that rumor, as I've talked in previous, segments on my YouTube channel, that my mother made a rumor up that I was in love with my father. That still sticks with a lot of people, that I have this sick relationship with my dad. Just little things to try to, but what they don't realize is when they make these posts that it doesn't really make you, it shoots your credibility and also shoots the credibility of the woman that you're trying to defend, you know? So I got it from all avenues. I got calls, I got, on my job, I got threats. My aunt received death threats, and I'll put this stuff up here on the things just to read a few. Like, so sent a picture of my aunt to her and says, so I have your picture. Shall I take your ass to the cemetery and lay your ass in a pretty casket? I will stop your ass one way or another. Mind your effing business. And this is actually from my mother, who disguises herself in different forms by writing from different numbers. And she does this quite often. And I'll get into that in my next segment, as well as what I've endured by attempting to do what I'm doing now, bring awareness and about narcissistic abuse, narcissistic parents, and things of that sort, and what I've endured even on this journey, where it's like deja vu again from the show, where she's created social media accounts and you know, say horrible, nasty things towards me, but she always disguises it in other ways. Like she either if it was directly to me, where she said in my face, it was always somebody else said that. Like I've said before, like if I wear red lipstick, oh, your grandmother said you look like a clown, but it really is her saying she wants to say you look like a clown because she's jealous of the fact that you actually look cute with your red lipstick, right? This is the same thing through the text messages. She's indirect. She creates the social media accounts and hides behind the social media accounts with no picture or anything, and disguises as this other person that's just going to war and saying all these things. But if you know my mother, you know it's her, right? You know, and the things that she says now is the only things like really a mom would know or would say. You know, it's just little details in there where it's like nobody else knows them but you, right? But I'll also talk about that in the next segment, as well as what I've endured in this journey of healing, and discuss furthermore the backlash that came with that, still from my mother, you know, and then and just also shedding light on the depths that they will go to when to gain control, and when they lose control and can't get it back, right? It's very sad, but it also let me know that what I'm doing is right, and it gives me the fuel that I need to push forward and to encourage other people to do the same, right? So what was meant to break me is actually what pushes me, and I hope you guys do the same. But okay, back to, you know, back to what we were talking about, just to name some things. Like before the show, we got some text messages, my brother and I want to know what kind of child you are to take your parents on national TV. You kids are really sick in the head. The hole you dig for her, you shall fall in it. For she will need to reevaluate you and your sister. Y'all ass needs some help. And what's funny is about this, it has the same area code. So I know she's used the app to send these text messages to us as disguised as other people. Like I said, death threats. I had people call me on my job. ask questions, and it called anonymously, right, with no number. But in reality, I went back in my phone bill and I saw that actually the number that was on there that she was trying to hide was my mom's phone. So she just passed the phone to somebody else and basically coached them what to say. But it was also sickening to know that people would take part in destroying somebody that they don't know, and the child of a mother that you should be shaking is like, what is wrong with you? So that was sick to the people that she's able to recruit to let me know what's going on in your mind, and maybe you have narcissistic tendencies too as well, or you're in denial about the woman that she is. So I also put up here as well that she wasn't done as well. She even went to the extreme to serve papers, and I'll put that up as well, of how, just to show you how long this report was. She also made a report to the police department, and tell you the guys that I live like 8-10 hours away from my parents. We don't even live in the same state, right? I had a full-time job. I was a full-time student, so I was working 9 to 5 literally, and going to class from like 6:15 to like 10:30 at night. So I had no time to cause mischief, and neither was I. I'm not built like that, never was. And why would I take the time out of my day when I went on national TV to try to free myself of that, to continue to indulge in that behavior? Like, I was trying to be free. So I had no contact with them whatsoever. So my aunt and my twin and a couple others got served papers. She literally went to the police department and filed a false report against everyone, and mostly targeted at me, making claims. But a lot of it was a rant. Like, she started literally, and I'll show you on the screen, she started literally from like, like literally where it says write your name, and she literally was writing in between where her name was, wouldn't even word a space where she's supposed to file a complaint and say what her complaint is. She started ranting about anything from her marriage, from when she first got married, like before I was even thought of, to lash at them, being little childish thing when trying to describe the person that you're trying to have the paper served to as fat or whatnot, talking about my aunts and things, like very childish behavior. But also false claims that I came down there and I trespassed, and that I destroyed things, and that I just went on some rant to like assault her, like crazy stuff she was saying. And I'm like, where did I have the time to do this? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I was like, wow, that really showed me then how far she would go. Like, I thought that I knew, even though narcissists don't have boundaries, but you kind of think in your mind, like, she wouldn't go there. I never thought in a million years that she would go to that far, and then requested that I be arrested, like had no grounds for that, but made this long statement with false claims against me. So she would lie to the law, to law enforcement, to see her child suffer. So that was her way of trying to get back at me for the show. And even in the report, it shows it, like it's clearly about the show. She tells on herself. So I didn't get served the papers because she didn't know my new address. But she got a chance to serve everyone else. So I paid for an attorney and things for my aunt and crew to be represented down there in the state of Georgia, because they entertained this thus far. It actually made it past their desk, and they entertained enough this to bring this to court. Crazy, right? When the other states that we talked to, Maryland and Virginia, they were like, there's no way that this would even make it past anyone's desk. This is a bunch of junk. Like, there's nothing here that holds any weight that would say that you need to be arrested. Now there's anything, there's no proof. There's nothing, I'm like, wow, this is crazy. So anyway, they went down south to go to court. I didn't go because I wasn't served papers, right? And at the time I was working for a law firm. Coincidence. And I was told that I had nothing to worry about, like you didn't get any paperwork, so you're fine. Well, I get a call saying, your name is on the docket, and they take a picture before going to court to show my name on the screen. I'm like, I never got any paperwork, but they said she made it her business to let the bailiff know that I wasn't present at court. And the attorney said he would take care of it. And after it was all said and done, for hours, I'm just sitting at my desk at work, like just twiddling my thumbs, like biting my nails, like what is going on? Like if they entertain it that far, how far would they go, you know, of this lie? Like would they really put me in jail for something I didn't do? The attorney calls back after hours of being in court and says, I have never, you know, your mother basically dug her own hole for herself. I didn't even have to talk. Like nobody really had to talk. She did it all and explained to us how the judge put her up there to talk. My father came along with her and supported the lie, and that their stories didn't match up. Okay, and none of it made sense from reading. The judge read the report and everything. And after all of that concluded, like the attorney said that your mom talked. He gave her about a solid hour to talk. And that she just basically went on a whole rant. And the rant was about you. It wasn't even about anybody else that she served that was there, you know, took off of work to drive down here. It was directed towards you. You were the main target. I was the main target. The goal was to get me in that courtroom. And it was her way of trying to punish me. And the judge said, I've never in all my years seen a mother come in here and say that they love their child, but in the same breath want me to lock them up. And it was just me that she wanted to put in jail, and basically saw through the nonsense in the report to say, this is a rant about the Dr. Phil show, and that this is basically retaliation, reprisal rather, for her speaking her truth. And says, I'm going to do you a favor. Since you came and wasted everybody else's time, that since you requested for me to get your daughter locked up, I'm gonna do you a favor. If you ever come around her or anyone else in here and I hear about it, I'll have you locked up. But of course, at the end of all of that, she knows exactly what the judge said. She goes back and tells everybody the complete opposite that the judge told us, the people that supported me and people that were in court, at the time that were served, that if they come anywhere near her, that they will be arrested. So of course she can't look bad, you know. And it was that time I knew just how dangerous she was. She was always physically abusive and things of that sort. And I thought back to all the times where the cops would come to the house and I would lie because she's my mom. You know, that I could have had her thrown in jail for assaulting me. And to know that she would go to that to protect her, to save face, by trying to have her own child thrown in jail based off of a lie, let me know how evil she was. As if I didn't already know enough. That just took the last straw, like, wow, you really would go that far to lie on me. And I saved all these things because, like, I want to write a book about this one day. You guys see, I will write a book about this. But after that, I was like, you know, I was nervous about I watched where I went. Like, I didn't know if somebody knew where I stayed at. Like, if she went that far, she had people sending me death threats and things of that sort. So it got pretty crazy. But that's just to give you an insight of how evil they can be, narcissistic parents be, and that they have no boundaries. And I will always say to you, always expect the worst when it comes to don't ever, ever limit your mind to think that they have a boundary, because they have none. We'll tap into those things as well. But this is just basically just basically my way of being able to pick up where we left off, to give you guys out. I know other people were like, well, what happened after the show? So I wanted to touch on that first to jumpstart things. And that was my way of jumpstarting, getting back into the game. I forgot to say Happy New Year. This is a new year, and hopefully new beginnings, new beautiful beginnings for us all, to include myself. Here's to healing, here's to loving, and loving the most important person, yourself. Know that you're worthy of the love that you desire and you never got from your parents, whether it's your narcissistic mother, or maybe your narcissistic father, or both, like myself. But just know that you are worthy, and don't allow them to tell you otherwise, that you can find love and support in so many other areas that don't include them, unfortunately. So may this year be prosperous in your journey to healing as well. And I will continue to contribute my page to healing, because it's so important for me, and I will always be an advocate for that. Once again, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. If you want to vent, if you want to talk, anything at all, my page is open. I will put down my information as well here on there for you guys to find me. If you want to inbox me, if you have questions, you want me to do a question and answer segment, which will be coming up here shortly. I'll be more than happy to do that. Leave your questions and comments in the box. Until next time, my beauties, take care of yourself. Love on yourself a little harder. Continue your healing. Know that you're worthy, once again, of the love that you give to everyone else. And until next time, we shall talk later. You guys be well, be blessed. I love y'all. Bye.